concern. That's a special kind of low. I made them coffee. Show them my files. My records. My calendar. My medical reports. They left embarrassed. One of them muttered, "This seems strategic." Yeah, it was. Then came the HOA meeting. Marissa stood at the front in a cream-colored suit, hair perfect, voice steady, like she was addressing shareholders. "Certain individuals are obstructing progress," she said, eyes sliding to me. "And that has consequences." She proposed fines, sanction, legal action. Then she dropped the phrase, adverse possession. I felt the room shift. For those who don't speak legal nonsense, adverse possession is when someone uses land openly and uncontested for long enough that it becomes theirs. She was claiming the ramp had functionally become community property. It was garbage, and she knew it. But confidence confuses people. She won the vote by 2. I walked out without saying a word, because I didn't need to win the room. I needed to win the truth. That week, she installed an electronic gate at the ramp. Credit card reader, digital sign, lake access, $25 daily. I watched from my porch as old Frank Miller tried to take his grandson fishing and got turned away. The kid stood there holding a tackle box bigger than his torso, eyes wide, not understanding. Frank just shook his head and said, "Guess we'll go home." Something inside me cracked. Not snapped. Cracked. There's a difference. That evening, a woman named Evelyn Park called me. She'd been trying to scatter her husband's ashes from the dock. He proposed to her there in 1962. They told her no. No fee, no access. She cried on the phone like she was apologizing. That was the moment. I opened my laptop and started building. If Marissa wanted war, I was going to give her something cleaner, quieter, and far more expensive. I called Jake Turner, a former Marine who ran a security installation company out of Coeur d'Alene. Told him I needed a gate. Not decorative, not polite, industrial. Something you can't climb, cut, or ram, I said. He chuckled. You expecting company? Eventually, we installed it on a Friday. Steel bollards, hydraulic arms, shoulder powered, app-controlled. I watched the concrete set like it was a countdown. At 5:12 p.m., I locked it. At 5:28 p.m., the first luxury SUV pulled up and stopped. At 5:41, the second. By 6 o'clock, there was a line. And by 6:15, Marissa arrived. She stormed out of her car like she could bend metal with rage. "You can't do this," she screamed. I walked onto the porch slowly. Let the moment breathe. "I can," I said. And I did. She looked at the gate like it had betrayed her personally. "You're destroying my business." I tilted my head. "You built it on my land." She laughed. A short, sharp sound. "You think this is over?" "No," I said. "I think it's starting." That night, someone tried to cut the power cables. Didn't matter. Battery backup. The next night, someone tried to ram it with a boat trailer. Bent the hitch. Didn't dent the gate. By Sunday, she was offering neighbors cash for dock access. By Monday, her husband was calling emergency board meetings. By Tuesday, her staff hadn't been paid. And by Wednesday, the reporter called. Small-town reporters are like bloodhounds. They don't forget a scent. She asked about the loan, the gate, the allegations. I told her to check public records. She did. The article dropped Friday morning. HOA assets used as collateral in private venture. By Saturday, half the town knew. By Sunday, everyone did. Marissa stopped coming to the lake. The restaurant lights stayed off. And for the first time in months, the loons came back. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Because desperation doesn't go quietly. And Marissa Langley was about to learn the most expensive lesson of her life. When you try to take something that's not yours, sometimes it takes everything with it. By the time the town hall meeting was announced, the whole valley was buzzing like a power line in a storm. You could feel it at the gas station, in the coffee shop, even standing in line at the post office. People weren't whispering anymore. They were comparing notes, stories, receipts. And once folks start comparing receipts in a small town, it's never good news for the person at the top. The notice said emergency community meeting, lakefront development concerns. Everyone knew what that meant. It was about Marissa. I hadn't planned on speaking. Honestly, I was tired. Tired in the bones. The kind of tired you get when you've been bracing for impact for too long. But Betty Collins, who lives 3 houses down and has known me since I still had hair, stopped me in the driveway that morning. "Daniel," she said, hands on her hips, "if you don't say something tonight, they're going to spin this. And you know it." She was right. So I put on the same flannel shirt I wore to Hannah's memorial, grabbed my folder, and drove into town. The parking lot was already full when I arrived. News vans, tripods, people standing in clusters like they were waiting for a verdict. Inside, the air was thick, not loud, just heavy, the kind of silence that hums. Marissa came in 10 minutes late. Of course she did. New lawyer this time. Sharp suit, tight jaw, the kind of man who bills by the breath. She looked different, still polished but thinner, edgier, like sleep had become optional. The mayor tried to start the meeting. Marissa didn't let him. She stood, walked straight to the microphone, and smiled like she was about to sell beachfront property in a desert. "This community is being held hostage by personal grudges," she said, "by resistance to progress, by one man's refusal to adapt." Her eyes locked on me. "There are people in this room who would rather see us fail than see change." Murmurs. A few claps. Mostly silence. She launched into a presentation. Slides. Charts. Economic projections. Words like opportunity and growth and future. And then she said it. "Daniel Mercer is obstructing lawful commerce." That's when I stood up. I didn't rush. Didn't dramatize it. I just stood. The room shifted. I walked to the front, nodded at the mayor, and said, "With your permission." He nodded. I turned to the crowd. "I don't want a restaurant," I said. I never did. I don't want power. I don't want attention. I want my lake quiet and my neighbors safe. I opened my folder. This is a copy of the loan agreement Marissa Langley signed using our community pool, clubhouse, and recreational land as collateral. Without a vote. Without disclosure. You could hear someone gasp. "This," I said, pulling another page, "is the survey showing her restaurant platform is anchored on my property." Another murmur. "And this," I said, holding up my phone, "is footage of her trying to destroy my gate at 3 in the morning." The video played. Metal against steel. Her voice. Unmistakable. Her lawyer leaned in. Whispered. She pulled away. I wasn't finished. "This is a statement from County Commissioner Ellis describing a bribe attempt." That's when the room got loud. Not angry. Not chaotic. Alive. Marissa stepped back like the floor had tilted. "That's a lie," she said. Too fast. A man in a jacket at the back of the room stepped forward. "Badge." "Marissa Langley," he said calmly. "You're under investigation for embezzlement, fraud, attempted bribery, and destruction of private property." She laughed. Once. Then stopped. He nodded to another officer. They moved. The sound of the cuffs was quiet. Small. Almost disappointing. But the silence that followed. That was thunder. They led her out past the cameras, past the neighbors, past the lake she tried to own. She didn't look at me, and I didn't need her to. The meeting ended in noise. Questions. Shouting. Relief. I went home. The next morning, I unlocked the gate. Not ceremonially. Not dramatically. Just unlocked it. By noon, kids were fishing again. By evening, Evelyn scattered her husband's ashes. By the weekend, Frank's grandson caught his first base. The restaurant was towed out 3 days later. A big, slow, awkward thing, like it didn't quite understand it had lost. And then it was gone. The lake went quiet. The HOA dissolved 2 months later. Marissa took a plea deal. Her husband filed for divorce. Life resumed. I opened a small tackle shop in the old boathouse. Named it Hannah's Corner. Nothing fancy. Just coffee, bait, and stories. Sometimes I sit on the dock and watch people I don't know teach their kids to fish where my boys once stood. And I think about how close it came to being something else. Something fenced. Something sold. And I wonder, how many other places are one vote, one signature, one vision away from losing what makes them home? So here's my question for you. If someone built their dream on your memories, would you fight? Or would you let it go? Because sometimes the quiet people are only quiet until they're not. And when they speak, things change. Let me know what you think. Was I wrong? Was she? Where do you draw the line between progress and preservation? Drop a comment. I read every one. And if you got a story like this, I promise you're not alone.